Welcome to the Nate KG podcast. I'm your host, Nate KG, and this is a show about jump rope where I connect with and share the stories of all types of jump ropers, including beginners, elite competitors, enthusiasts, and everybody else in this community. Today I talk with Deanna, Kyle, and Mel from San Francisco. These three are a new jump rope unit, or band as they call themselves, and I've had the pleasure of jumping with all three of them at different times, and I knew I would have to have them on the podcast. Now, rather than have them all on separately, I decided to have a group podcast. Now, this is the first time I've done a group podcast, so there are a few scratches and cyberwind here and there, but I can assure you that these three brought some solid hilarity and perspective to the show. We talk about so much, including how each person started jumping, how they all found each other, where jump rope has taken them, and much more. All of the show notes and links to each person's Instagram page can be found over at natekg.com. And now, please enjoy my conversation with the band, Deanna, Mel, and Kyle. All right, you guys, welcome to the podcast. We got a bunch of you here. Let's start with going over where you guys are from and where you're located, and then we'll kind of just go around the circle here, virtual circle, and then move on from there. So, Kyle, why don't you start?
We are all in like the peninsula area of the Bay Area. I'm originally from San Francisco, currently living in Pacifica. I'm about 5 to 10 minutes from Deanna and Mel.
Nice. Okay. And then Mel?
Born and raised in San Mateo, California, which is the peninsula. I guess you'd say 25 minutes south of San Francisco. But yeah, we're currently living in South San Francisco, which is about 10 minutes away from each person. So it's pretty convenient. Yeah.
Andy?
And I'm born and raised in San Francisco, and I just live just 10 minutes south of there, actually, right between the two of my bandmates here.
Okay, yeah. So I want to go over that, and I know we originally talked about first discussing a little bit about origin stories, but I'm really curious, the bandmates, where did that term come from? And I really like it, so I'm curious how this originated and stuff.
Malicious?
I have no idea.
Well, I think I came up with it just for the fact that it really felt like we were kind of united, like as a band. I mean, I like that kind of comparison that all three of us all play kind of a part in each other's jump rope lives. And it was just easy to just call it like, hey, we got the band back together. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of like a good way to kind of just launch how we were as a group. It just made perfect sense at the time, and we just kind of ran with it.
It's like you guys are your own team.
It would come from his posts. Yeah, his posts.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. The first time I saw it was when he said, the band is back. I'm like, oh, okay. We're bandmates now.
Yeah. It's pretty much the first post as a group, and I wanted to try to figure out a pretty cool headline or heading, and it just kind of stuck.
So you were each jumping on your own, correct? And then you guys found each other. When did you come in contact with each other? And I'm curious, this is probably going to dovetail with the same point, but were you jumping individually first, or did you kind of influence each other to start jumping? Because I actually don't know. I don't think I know your origins with jumping.
For me, hold on real quick.
This is a good moment to point out that you guys can say whatever you want. No, it's all good. We can cut out anything, so it's no sweat.
I think it's better if you don't cut it out.
Do not cut this out, please.
Give me the meanest look. Jesus, I'm gonna hear it later. But yeah, I mean, for me, I started jumping maybe like 2013, 2014, and I felt like there's like couldn't find anybody in the Bay Area to jump rope with, especially in terms of like freestyle and competitive style jump roping. And randomly, I seen a story on my Instagram maybe 2 years ago, something like that, a year or two ago, and it said jump rope meetup in San Francisco. I'm like, I'm gonna hit up whoever these people are, like see if they got room for one more and get all details.
Oh wait, so what year was this? And then I'm curious what this meetup was.
This was last year.
Oh,
this was last year.
Wait a minute.
It was like maybe a year.
It was just last year? What do you remember what month?
Something like that. Yeah.
So this is 2019.
Yeah, I started it January 2019. It was the fourth Sunday of every month. And the first meetup was me and two other people. And then I don't know if Kyle ended up coming to maybe the March one. I don't think you were at the February one. I think it may have been the third one in March.
It was around the same time when we had that one meetup in Venice.
That's crazy. So you're telling me so you were learning handstands and triples and quads and stuff on your own before you were hanging out with these guys?
Yeah. Pretty
Oh,
much.
we did nothing to benefit his jump roping
Oh, no,
career.
yeah.
We are just along for the ride.
Wow, that's
He's
pretty
the
cool.
OG in the group.
Okay, so Deanna, then were you jumping before Mel?
So I've been doing double unders for almost a decade in CrossFit. That's the extent of it. I got bored of it a couple years ago. I'm like, let me see if I can do a double under
No big deal.
backwards.
Whatever.
Started busting out backwards double unders. No big deal. I'm just like, okay, what else can my body do? Let me try to figure out a triple under. And the first time I did it, busted out 3 consecutive. I'm like, okay, here we go. This can at least keep me a little bit more entertained than just regular dubs. So anyway, the way I got into it was in October of 2018. I actually hosted at our box a CrossFit jump rope workshop. And that is what opened up my eyes to the jump rope world. And I also think that Facebook was spying on me, because then surprisingly, right after having taken that workshop, I was shown the jump rope fitness community group on Facebook, which at this point probably has 80-some thousand people in it. That's where I started seeing everything that's possible and all the people in there that are doing all the amazing different skills that I was just fascinated with. So that was about November 2018. Then January 2019, with a couple people from that Facebook group, that's where I'm like, there has to be some people out here in the Bay Area. Let's meet up. Let's jump together. And then so I started the jump rope, the San Francisco or Bay Area jump rope meetup.
Man, that's a fast
2019.
turnaround. You just got going the second you found out about it.
I just jumped right in.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
So then, Mel, where was your start with jump rope, and how did you connect with these guys?
I had a very similar background to D. I was in CrossFit kind of like full on in 2014. Thought the only thing to achieve was to get a double under. That was like my thing. Like for that, it was pretty much, that's it. Then I got injured in like 2018. I hurt my wrist pretty bad trying to land a clean. And I was just kind of sidelined for a few months. And a good friend of mine who's into the Buddy Lee jump ropes, he was really into jumping. He said, while I recover, why not just start jumping? So then when I started doing that, I started looking for other jumpers to jump with. And I can't really remember how I met up with Deanna, but maybe it was the jump rope group. I know that Kyle and I have mutual friends, and he referred Kyle to me around the same time I met Deanna. So I think
you said that you saw, so one of the guys who, Ben, who originally was at the jump rope meetup, you said you followed him and saw that he was posting about the meetup, and then you showed up to that.
Yep. There you go. So yeah, there was another jumper that I still have not met this other guy who's Kuya Ben is his handle. He's a really good jumper, like fitness jumper guy. And I still haven't met him. It's like been almost a year, right?
But because of him, this band was created.
I am so thoroughly impressed that all of you have been jumping for only like a year. I'm sure we may have talked about it before, but I really thought that all of you had been jumping for at least 2 or 3 years.
Oh, Kyle has. The OG has. Kyle has.
Yeah, but I mean, like the fact that you guys have been like only connected for that time, like your skills have jumped up so quickly. Like all of you guys, which is really crazy. That's so neat. So what are your we'll call them band practices. What do your band practices look like? I mean, now things are a little bit different, but before we went into quarantine, what were you guys doing when you met up?
Like usually Kyle always has something in his mind to work on, and so does Mel. Sometimes I do. I like to really just see what I've noticed is, even though I go in saying, oh, I know I want to work on this today, by by interacting with them and what they're doing, it always ends up shifting to whatever, like my primary agenda is like no longer important. And I don't say that in a bad way. I mean it because when we get together, it is beautiful to see what is created from our synergies. And then, you know, say for example, Mel is wants to learn a new floater or a new release, and then we help teach him that, and then we go into doing our syncy, a synchronized sequence.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wait,
we
so you
call it
guys
our
put
syncies.
together little sequences that are timed together, and you call them syncies? That rocks.
Yes, Kyle doesn't really like them that much
Deanna calls them
because they're
syncies.
yeah. Let's be clear. Yes. And so we'll usually, what we used to do was we'd meet up at my box on a Saturday at like 9 a.m. And then we'd stay there for 2 or 3 hours getting the stuff down individually or separately. But it's just been beautiful to see what gets created from our brains and our energies coming together. And I always say what we end up creating and leaving with is way more than we could have done on our own individually by ourselves. It is every single time. Like I don't know, I'll see Mel do something, and then in my mind's eye I see something as to how he can take it, or we can take it a step further, and I'm like, hey, let's do this. And then we just go into that, and then it turned, like, that's how Big Spoon Little Spoon came about. Like I'd never seen partner floaters, but I was all like, I saw it in my mind's eye, and
Okay,
I'm like,
so
let's see if this
first
is
of all,
possible,
I
Mel.
completely agree with what you're saying. It's really fun. I think you three are probably one of the first groups that has come from this fitness focus and has, in my view, I think you three are one of the groups that are pioneering jump rope fitness. I think jump rope fitness, not just competitive style, but the way adults are adapting it to fit their workout needs, is its own thing. And I think you three are some of the pioneers that are engaging with that. But I also really want to know about this little Big Spoon thing that you just said, because you went through that real quick, and Mel's laughing right now, and I'm really curious what that is.
Well, because I feel you've seen all our posts anyways.
I think I can visualize it, but I want you to describe it for people who haven't seen it, and also I haven't connected that terminology with the skills.
You're so left field, Deanna. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Well, I figure we've all seen each other's posts, so we all are on the same page
Right.
here. So basically, he was doing regular floaters, and I was thinking to myself, how can I saw it? So I started doing single unders with a double bounce to slow the rope down. So I was doing that, and then from the side, he came in front of me, and we were jumping together. He was within my rope loop, and then I released the rope, and he caught it, and I backed away.
And you
And
called
so
it
it
the
was a
little
partner
Big
floater.
Dipper, or Little Big Spoon, sorry?
Well, I was the Big Spoon, and he was the Little Spoon. So
We were spooning, Nate.
This is great.
That's what you want to know.
But I really do. I mean, this is hilarious, and I like talking with all three of you. This is really fun doing this style of podcast for the first time. But I also think that it's really important, like what you're saying, having actual team members with you. And Kyle, I'm curious, like, what have you seen shift in terms of your own enjoyment with jump rope, your own skill acquisition? Like, have you seen a change, and if so, what is it? What has it been?
I think I've seen people just learn at light speed the past year because of all the posts you see. You have tutorials from pretty much every other person, and then just watching everybody with like doing slow-mo videos and people breaking it down. You know, I think there's a capability to save people's videos or bookmark it now. So I think instead of just having to go to YouTube and watch the same tutorials that the very limited amount that there are, you could just type in or hashtag jump rope videos or something, or jump rope as a sport, and see all the people just working on a wider variety of tricks and just sequences out there. So there's a lot more. I feel like there's a bigger field to choose from, to learn from, as opposed to like I used to get everything personally from either YouTube or watching the hot dog competitions or the world jump rope competitions, and just how to break down move by move what I want to learn. But I feel like I can learn more immediate and then kind of plan out what I can learn in the future once I start learning other things. And that's a good thing. It's a great thing. We could see other people just doing crazy things with rope. You see everyone like Melody, and you see them learning super quickly, and from the whole community helping each other out. And that's something that's, I feel like, I don't know if it's been around that long. I mean, I've only experienced it maybe within the past year or two. When I started posting jump rope videos on Instagram, maybe 2014, and then really the only people I knew on there was like Mike, Stewart.
That makes a lot of sense because
I think that's it.
your style is very much like a full send style. You see a quad and you're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and try to figure that out now. And you explaining all that you started watching Hot Dog USA, that competitive team, that really makes a lot of sense because Hot Dog is very much a raw power team. Yeah, it makes a big difference when you actually have like a community around you. How, for all three of you, and whoever wants to go first, you can just jump in, but how have your fitness goals changed? I'm assuming they've changed. If they've not, that's cool. But between the time when you started jumping and now, has anything shifted? And if so, what has it been?
I say with me, my fitness, I mean, it has improved quite a bit ever since I've incorporated jump rope. I was really into CrossFit, and I was just pounding my body, was getting injured, not in a way where I'd get injured really bad, but I'd get worn out and take long breaks and long rests. And once I incorporated jump rope, my fitness improved quite a bit, and I think I'm in a much better place now that I've started jump roping as a majority, as my, I guess you could say, my main form of fitness is jump rope now, and I feel that I'm much better off than before.
So you've actually switched to from your CrossFit wads. You spend most of your time doing freestyle skills?
Yep, and just some body weight exercises that Deanna and I start off with. We pretty much just do kind of like a similar, like a HIIT workout or like some type of core workout. So rarely any weights. I mean, nowadays at least.
Okay. So then you're doing awesome. That with Mel then? Very similar style of fitness or? So yes, I'm curious from the time you started jumping, when you first learned, and for your context, we're going to take when you learned that there was more than double unders as kind of like the marking point. From that moment where your fitness was then, how has it changed to where it is now, if it has changed?
It's interesting because I understand what people say when they say fitness, and I just stay away from that word because I don't I don't use jump rope for fitness. I guess I don't even use CrossFit for fitness. I use all of these things to feel whole within myself, and that's one thing that it's taken me many years to even get this understanding of just being in alignment with myself. But I don't want to evade the question of how has my fitness. I'm just trying to think of like in a performance.
Let's change the question up a little bit because I'm curious. Let's go down that tangent. What about, let's call it working out. So what about CrossFit and jump rope has made you feel whole? What has that journey been like?
So I guess my whole life, and if you look at what I do when I jump, I'm not really good at anything. And I've been like that my whole life when it comes to physical related activities. I've done every sport I can get my hands on because I've wanted to move my body my whole life. My mom has said I was always moving, and it was hard for her to get me just seated somewhere doing nothing. I just remember being on the playground running around with the boys because the girls weren't doing it, and I just wanted to be faster than the boys because I'm like, there's no reason they should be faster than me. So I never saw a reason that I should suck at anything physically. Don't ask me where that even came from. It's just this weird thought I've had since I was a child in my mind. And so I've done, I guess when I started out with 5, tap and ballet, swimming, gymnastics, volleyball, basketball, soccer, CrossFit, and now jump rope. So I've done everything that was within my environment that I could get my hands on. And I guess I do feel blessed that I was allowed to do that. So, oh my gosh, I already forgot what the question is. I was going along the lines of being a generalist.
Well, you were giving context about, I think, your history with sport and kind of just working out and moving around. Yeah.
And making me feel whole. So it's something that it's always been a part of me. And honestly, I don't know if you guys can relate to this. So I have only ever seen my mom overweight/obese. She was not that when she was growing up and married my dad. She was tinier than I was. And so this played such a huge part I always thought I worked out and did sports so I wouldn't turn into her. I really honestly thought that's that's the only reason I did it. And it wasn't until I was, I think, into my 30s that I was like, okay, no, I can't be forcing myself 3 decades in to keep moving my body like this. Like this is naturally who I am. This is naturally a part of me. If I don't move my body, if I don't get, X number of workouts in a week, I don't feel like myself and I feel like crap. And so my whole thing about working out and fitness is I don't compartmentalize it anymore, because it's not something that's separate from who I am. Me needing to move my body in different ways, whether it's lifting heavier weights one day, doing more cardio another day, doing gymnastics movements, which is why I love CrossFit, the whole generalization of all of that. That stuff makes me feel whole and it makes me feel like myself. So it's not something that's a part of a part separate from me. It is a lifestyle. And I think that word is something that a lot of us here can relate to. This is a lifestyle for us. We don't force ourselves to do this. We don't feel like we have to push ourselves and drag ourselves to do this stuff. If we don't do this, we don't feel like ourselves.
Man, that's so good. And there's a lot to stick on there. And I think that for a lot of people, even all of us right now on this call, I don't think any of us could have ever anticipated being this into jump rope ever. And it's one of those things like, I in previous podcasts, I've said jump rope is like this. It's interesting as a sport because there's always something to be proud of and there's always something to move forward and pursue. And just recently, Selena Furman sent an article to me that kind of gave a more specific, like scientific explanation for this. And if you guys saw in the email, I sent out an email this morning about it, but there's basically two states of exercise. There's a flow state and then there's a clutch state. Now, I'm sure you could paraphrase this in different ways, and I'm sure other people have, but this is just kind of one option. But basically, the flow state is things that you don't need to think about. You can just do automatically. It's very positive. It feels good while you're doing it, and it's flow. It's what we all consider a standard like jump rope flow, right? Clutch is more achievement based. It probably sucks while you're doing it, but you're achieving something, and that can be training a new quad, that can be doing speed scores, speed sets, that can be, max rep double unders, that kind of thing. And it's just interesting, like as you're describing that, jump rope really, as you're describing your history, jump rope really has all of those different elements.
Absolutely. And it's something that, along with CrossFit, has just constantly kept me humbled. And I know some people will go for the flow state, and some people will go for the fitness side, and some people will go for the skills. But knowing that we can incorporate all of those, and some days our brains just need to turn off. I mean, as much as we like to go, I need to learn this today. I set this sequence out. I have to do it. You know what? Planning and trying to figure out our lives from the cognitive mind doesn't always work. We need to be, I think it's beneficial to be in tune with our entire being to know what is best for that day, what is going to harmonize yourself the most. And that is what is a constant day by day thing for me. It's the same with CrossFit. It's the same with this. And I'm going off on a tangent.
No, you're good. I mean, so for Kyle and Mel, then, I mean, Kyle, we still need to get your answer to the fitness question. Well, let's stick on this first, and I'll double back to you. Kyle and Mel, what do you think about that? With what Deanna's saying, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like it's this integral thing now in your life, a lifestyle?
Yeah, well, for me, it's now it's almost like it's fun now. I mean, like I don't enjoy lifting as much. I mean, I like to complement my other workouts with it. Like I do, I have a steel mace workout with jump roping, and with I have a heavy bag workout with jump roping. I'll lift just to I guess for aesthetics. I guess
pumped,
once in a while,
right?
just like push and pull workouts a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, the only real lifting I do is for my legs. I'll do squats and Romanian deadlifts and stuff, just mainly because that would contributes actually to my jump roping. So yeah, and that's pretty much why I love doing that. So it went from me wanting to actually have goals of one day competing at some point, but now I'm like, I just enjoy doing it. Computer
well, hold
and
on
I've met
a
a lot
second.
of cool people.
Hold on a second. You said you had the goal to compete in jump rope?
Yeah, a long time. I want to say maybe like in 2016-ish. I was just trying to work on sequences, maybe to
I think
looking to
all
competing at
three of
some
you
point?
absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I really think anybody who's interested in jump rope should look at that just for the enjoyment of it. Just because you compete doesn't mean you have to go win world championships.
Yeah.
But specifically for you three, watching you progress and seeing how you guys have really learned a lot of new skills and stuff, like you absolutely should not put that aside. I mean, at the moment we've got obviously a couple different things going on with the world in terms of COVID and meeting up for competitions and stuff. But once things kind of come back to the place where we can all meet up for these national competitions, like regional and national, it'd be great to have all three of you and to get the three of you doing some kind of a double dutch routine. That would be sweet.
That would be
I'd
awesome.
like the double dutch part. Yes.
And as for me, I'm kind of more, I guess, leaning towards a lifestyle. I think right now, Deanna and I have been meeting up every day for half an hour and just helping people who are interested in jump rope. I mean, we not only do a workout, which is a really quick workout, but we just answer questions and just help people who need help. And I'm not saying that we know everything about jump rope. We're just passionate about it and we enjoy being around it. And it's kind of become part of our daily routine. And just meeting other jumpers out there, whether they're brand new or we just enjoy being part of the community.
Yeah, I'll jump in on those workouts sometimes and just talk shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's great. Well, it's really cool to hear you guys. I mean, I knew that you would meet up. I didn't know that you were working with other people so much as well, which is really cool to hear because, I mean, I think that that's really a unique point in the culture of jump rope is that the second somebody learns something, they immediately want to share, not to boast, but to say like, hey, you can also achieve this. Let me show you how. And I really like that
Right.
as, a
Right.
culture point, but also the fact that I didn't realize you guys did that so much. Like I knew you met up, but
Yeah, I think
For example,
go ahead.
no, I was
You
going to say,
wanna-
because you were feeling under the weather on Friday, and I knew that someone else, a lady, was having wanted help with her mix, and I messaged her and I said, hey, Mel can't make it. I'll still go on today, but I'm not that entertaining by myself. If you want to hop on the IG live with me, I'm happy to help you with your mix. And she was more than happy to, and we spent like 45 minutes talking and then me helping her with her mix, and it clicked. And so helping like that,
what did you say that
it's really
helped
good.
it click for her?
It was showing her, explaining the whole you do the 1 loop, 2 loop, and then up, across, and down. It was that part she wasn't getting. She was just trying to jerk it, and just like showing her what I mean, and up, across, and down. That's what she was missing. Then she was getting it.
You guys are extremely active on the gram and in the digital community, and I really dig watching your stuff. You guys are also really hilarious when I watch you on live or even just in real life. The three of you together, it's a pretty funny group. What's been one of the funnier moments for the band? I'm assuming you all have had many moments that have been funny. I'm curious if any stick out for you.
For me, I think it's just every time somebody gets hurt.
He said somebody.
whoever draws blood first.
So people may not know how often Kyle bleeds.
Really?
So
He's a bleeder.
I start laughing when I hear myself saying, "Oh, we got a bleeder again." It's always
Wait,
Kyle.
so what are you doing to cause yourself to bleed so much?
It's usually excessively aggressive
you know
quads
what?
or something.
Never mind. Yeah, now I remember, because every time we've jumped, not that it's been that many times, but the times where we have jumped in person together, you guys, you take that rope and you just whip it around. You will do whatever it takes to get that rope to turn. I would imagine after learning the hummingbird, your arm was pretty sliced up for a little bit.
Every time, even till this day. No matter how relaxed I'll do it, my arm still gets pretty scammed up.
What's been one of your, I mean, that actually I can hear D saying, "We got a bleeder." That's actually kind of funny now that I'm rolling it through my head again. But what's been one of your top moments in jump rope, aside from Kyle whipping his arms and bleeding every practice?
As a group, for me, it's seeing Mel get his first TJ, because he got it maybe like in a day, I think.
That was
that was his
In a
Christmas
day?
gift. He got that on Christmas Eve.
Well,
Wow.
The way that I enjoyed him teaching me this, Nate, he didn't tell me he was going to teach me a TJ. It was a perfect way to do it. He's like, can you do a side swing, then a toad, and then an open? And that's all he told me. And I had no idea what I was doing until I did it. And then when he told me, he's like, hey, you just kind of did a TJ, I started messing up. You know what I mean? Because it just seemed like such a
yeah, because I'm
right?
pressure.
But the way that he described it to me, he's like, do a side swing, do a toad, and then open. And then after that, I just kind of got it. And that was a pretty cool group moment because we got that all on film and we captured that moment. It was pretty awesome.
That's sweet. Nice, man. I would imagine that also kind of sticks out as one of your own personal favorite memories.
I think that, and then the countless syncs that we've done. I mean, when all three of us were able to get together, the synkies. Yeah, we'll call it synkies today. A little personal, Nate, right? We're not quite comfortable calling it a synky quite yet. But I think every time that we've done that, especially Kyle and Deanna, both being more experienced than I am, they've always been so generous, kind of molding that sequence to include me, to have me be a part of it, especially in the beginning, because I would struggle with basic moves in the very beginning, but we all seemed to work out a sequence that we all enjoyed, and we were all able to do together, and I think that's what made it so special.
That's cool. Cool. Top moments, Kyle and D?
So I want to answer the funny one because I was laughing in my mind when you asked that and thinking about it. We were going for a sinky, the three of us, and Kyle was missing up on a mick because he's very aggro in his movements and he'll like spin it more than we do. So he goes to, this is when we're at the box practicing, he goes to the bathroom and Mel and I nail the sink twice together when he's in the bathroom. And it's just it's the funniest thing because like at that point now Mel's like, I'm just doing the sink with D.
It's been like that. I got booted.
Kyle, you got booted out of the band.
That's like the funniest thing. Like he comes out and like Mel's already recorded it twice. Like we did it like flawlessly, the two of us. So that was like the funniest moment there for the group. Individually, what I've enjoyed is honestly what was amazing for me last year was jumping with people from other countries that were also jumpers. So when I went to Europe, I met up with folks in France. I met up with Sir Starsky in London, traveling halfway across the globe and meeting up with other jumpers, like made it so real. I met up with 3 jumpers when I was in Nice. One even traveled from Marseille, which apparently isn't that close. And it was such a beautiful moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys came out here to meet this gal from San Francisco who just enjoys jumping rope. Like one guy brought his family, his kids, which are twins. They were like about 9 years old. They were jumping rope and double dutching with us. It was like that. It's that community, that connection, like that tops everything I've learned individually in jump rope. And I do want to answer that too, because I mean, but that's what it is to me. And I think that's why
really
I love
powerful.
It is powerful. And that's why, with Mel and Kyle, like it is such a blessing to have them. And literally like Kyle is like 10 minutes from me. Mel is 8 minutes from me. I mean, that's such a blessing to have each other so near, and the fact that our styles sync up with each other. None of us are only into the fitness aspect, and then we can't mesh and transfer over to the skill side. So that all works. So I love that. And then I don't have any one individual moment, but it's interesting because so many times I've met up with Kyle and I get firsts in front of him, and I'm never recording because I have no expectation of getting a first. Like he's witnessed my first frog. He's witnessed so many firsts of mine that I have no video proof of. It's just his eyeballs, because one, he believes in me to help coach me, and two, I guess it's really that, like, I just feel so blessed that he would believe in me to say, hey, Dee, why don't you just try this? And he coached me through it, and I'd get so many firsts. And that's something really special right there. Like I said, I don't even have video proof of all this stuff because it was just for his eyeballs.
If it's not on video, that means it never happened.
People just get to see the second version of it. My second time doing it.
No,
So that feels really good.
And I think we joke around. We're saying even if we lived far from each other, we probably would still make the time to meet up. So if I was in San Jose, she was in San Francisco, and then Kyle would be in the East Bay, we'd probably still meet up, at least once a week. That's how well we get along. I'm just happy we live close to each other, so we don't have to do that, right? So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you guys you've made in my mind, a lot of trips even down to Southern California when we've done meetups and stuff, and even most recently when we did the San Diego meetup.
That was very
so
fun.
Yeah.
How could we not? I mean, that's an hour 15-minute plane ride. Like, that's just, how could we not? You guys are amazing. And then Deana even drove in from, I don't know, is that called the Central Valley? It wasn't that near. So, just so
Riverside, yeah.
It's just, we're all, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy, Mark. Deana.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was there? I'm drawing a blank. Is that everybody?
Oh man, it's gonna be bad if we forget.
I think that's everybody.
I think that's everybody plus Nate,
so,
and then the three of us.
Yeah, that's it.
A bunch of randos that joined us too.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of kids that wanted to start
Shout
jumping
out to the
too.
kid who tried to steal Jimmy's rope. Good looking out, bro.
Yep. Always have a backup rope on hand for the kids that roll up on you and they're like, I think I'm going to take this home. And if you're not paying attention, they will. It's the dark side of meetups that no one talks about. Yeah, exactly. So, man, this is really cool. I dig this conversation about community because that's the thing that, in terms of like my own mission or whatever you call it, to bridge this knowledge gap of what people think jump rope is and then what jump rope actually is, the community piece of it is such a big deal. And I think that it's even being defined or even redefined now. And you three, like I was saying earlier, are a really good example of that, where we have this new middle ground between people who used to jump in preschool and people who are competitors. And now there's this middle ground of like any person who's into it, there's some kind of application for them. And it's really cool to see how much you three explore different things to do. Like, and then I know we're joking about the sinkies and that kind of thing a little bit, but like, it's cool to see you guys playing around and trying so many different things. I'm curious, like, if jump rope has taught you anything.
I'll go first. I mean, it actually has taught me a lot. I mean, I really started my Instagram page just to solely hold myself accountable for my fitness. And it really has evolved. I mean, besides posting my daily workouts, it really has taught me more about sharing my knowledge of what Deanna has taught me, what Kyle has taught me, what you have taught me, Nate, and just having that eagerness to share with others has become kind of the forefront of what I like to do daily with Deanna. I mean, I think that's kind of what jump rope has taught me throughout this past year.
Kyle?
So for me, it's taught me more about, I guess, challenging myself in terms of my physical movements. It's not just jumping up and down, it's twisting yourself, moving your legs in every which way. And I love the instant feedback. Once again, going back to me bleeding. So like, you mess up, you hurt yourself. If you mess up, you know it immediately. I guess being able to challenge myself in that way, where you kind of don't realize your body can move a certain way until you actually try it.
Mm-hmm. It's always a challenge, but it's also always like hey, you just accomplished something you didn't realize you could do.
And it's forcing your body to like do something it's not used to doing. Like when you first try, even when you see people who first start jump roping, you see them doing their side swings and their legs are twisting every which way when they're doing side swings. Like, I don't know, that's something we trained Mel out of when we first met him.
Take it easy, bro. It's too soon, man. That's way too soon.
but yeah, just like things like that, trying to force their body to not do certain movements in order to accomplish other movements. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Becoming more efficient and just learning, how to move in this new space properly.
Pretty much, yeah.
D?
And for me, so it would be so nice if I could say jump rope has taught me patience. It hasn't. And what's interesting is I get a lot of people who say that I'm so patient. I I've always said patience was not a virtue I was ever born with. I've never been patient in my life. Like there's nothing, no patience. So not the perfect answer. So what has jump rope taught me? It's I guess it comes as a confirmation of, one, the whole reason I'm even here talking to you guys is because I followed a curiosity when I saw that the CrossFit jump rope workshop course was looking for boxes to host. And I said to myself, I'd really like to learn a little bit more about jump rope. Like, it was that curiosity of, I want to do this. And just following that is what got me here. And then the second part is a confirmation of me aligning with who I really am, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed and feel like crap about yourself and get your ego all butthurt by seeing everyone on Instagram, everyone on the interwebs and social media, whether it's jump rope or not, how amazing everyone is, how this person can do this and that person can do that, and then this person looks like this and that person looks like that. And it gets so easy in our culture to get caught up in that stuff, when we will never be better at being anyone but ourselves. We will never be better at anyone. We just can't. So on my whole journey in the past 6 years of being in alignment with who I really am and wanting to live my truth, jump rope has helped confirm for me, stay in your own lane, follow your own path, climb your own mountain. I look to others for inspiration of potentiality and possibilities of what our bodies are capable of. I take that, and if there's interest in, I'd like to see if I can do that, I will try to do it. But I won't follow something because someone has a lot of followers or they're doing this and everyone else thinks it's cool. So I can't do that because I've seen where it's got me in life. Overall, following something that's not really in alignment with myself. So that's what jump rope has helped teach me, is you need to figure, and I don't even know what my style or whatever that is, but like I said, I know I'm a generalist, so I'm a kind of good at this and I'm a kind of good at that, and that's how I seem to be. So it's just been confirmation of, are you interested in this? Okay, I'm curious about that. Let's try that out. And that's just my thing. So I'm staying in my lane that way.
All you need is that little bit of curiosity. I'm curious if this is the way you three have felt when you first saw jump rope. Sometimes it can be most of the time it's very intimidating. You see these skills, and even when you're starting, just seeing a swing and a cross, maybe an EB, those skills can look really intimidating. Like, there's no way I could ever do that, or I need so much coordination. But actually, once things are broken down into nice little pieces that are manageable, all of these skills are very, very achievable. Except maybe those double under frogs that you guys throw like madmen. Those can be.
Oh, that's all Kyle. I'm not there yet.
Kyle just sends it.
Thank goodness we have a mat now for that, so he doesn't get hurt. But speaking to that, I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's because I'm older or if it's because I'm stubborn and feel. It's not because I'm older. I think I've always seen things, and like I said, I'm really fascinated with potentiality, human potential and possibilities. And I see something and I tell myself there's no reason I shouldn't do it. Like I said, I don't know where this comes from, but that's always been something in me. So with any type of physical movements, even gymnastics, contortionists, things like that, I understand you need to work up to that. But when I see something, in my mind, that's the thought that goes through my mind. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do that, D. And so with everything in jump rope, I understand I can't just go through a quad if I'm not even doing double unders yet. I understand there's a progression to build up to it, but I'm just fascinated with all of that. And I'm like a kid in a candy shop wanting to do all of that. I don't know what Mel and Kyle's experience with that has been though.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, first time I was exposed to actual, seeing cool tricks and jump roping was when I used to box. My trainer, his name was Paris Alexander at the time. He used to do like Floyd Mayweather type stuff. It didn't look like it was something I could do until I actually tried it. And you realize how easy it is after like a couple of days of working on it. And then after a while, that became like, there's got to be more to do than this. So I came across Brian Valoria, another boxer, who actually does like awesome manis and stuff, which is kind of amazing, and like triple unders. So I was like, okay, I want to learn that. So I started getting on this road of trying to learn new tricks, and I just left kind of boxing behind because I wanted to just stay jump roping. I had some of the most fun jumping anyway. And then from there, I was like, in that search to find new tricks after watching Valoria and Mayweather, I've come across these recommended videos from YouTube, which would be like Billy Too Wildy and stuff. Then I'd watch that, and then on the little sidebar, it would be like,
yes.
Oh, by the way, you want to see Nick Woodard? You want to see Graham Booth or something like that? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I just went into this like downward spiral of watching watching like a jump competition
for hours. Hours.
hours.
No, that's
Yep.
really cool. What do you think, Mel?
I think I could say that most intimidating times was probably in the beginning, like the first 3-4 months. And I think because I was watching so many videos, like rushy videos, jump rope dudes, even Mira, a lot of people that I just enjoyed watching on Instagram. And I think the only thing that was intimidating was just not trying to compare myself to them right away. Just kind of go at my own pace, because I knew if I just, go jump too far ahead, I know I'd probably get discouraged and just stop completely. So just admiring and kind of having a goal to set and something to achieve, but just kind of stay on my path. And then I know that I would just get there. So that was the only thing intimidating, was not to just jump too far ahead in the beginning.
What, if anyone could have told you something when you started, if they could have given you 1 or 2 pieces of advice, what would have been something you would have wanted to hear at the start? And I know that we are already discussing pieces of that, but I'm curious if there's anything else that sticks out for you guys.
This is fresh in my mind because I just produced a progress video the other day, and I just totally kept looking at the length of my rope. So had I known to shorten my rope about 6 months ago, like earlier, I think I'd probably be a lot better jumper earlier. But I think just even knowing how to size my rope was such a big deal for me in the very beginning. So
as a jump rope coach, that's a really big point. And I think that a lot of people focus a lot on the rope size, but the key indicator of whether or not you have a correct rope size is actually the contact point of the rope. So if the rope is grazing the ground and it's more or less 1 shoe length in front of your toes, that's
I didn't know that.
a good amount.
I think also now I'm kind of going into the Jimmy Says Relax school of thought, and just mine's a little bit too short now. So I may need to lengthen my rope again.
Well, no, that makes sense. And a lot like that advice to really, what I just said really applies to somebody who's beginning or is trying to get their foundation. Once you're in it, once you have your foundations, once you have a very clear style or goal you're after, do whatever you want. Like Jimmy's rope is actually, so Jimmy is probably at least 4 to 5 inches taller than I am. And he jumps with a rope that is significantly shorter than mine because of his style. Yeah. And so like it really, for all the tips that I offer, or we offer, it's like, that's great when you're beginning to get your foundation, but really the whole point of that information is just so that you have a base. I think
the one thing that's helped me a lot, that would have been helpful advice when I started, is something you and Deanna tell me every time I see y'all is, don't be so aggressive. Everything I've learned, even up to this point, like TJ's, triples, even just like regular manipulation moves, I would just try to throw everything into it. And it was when I first met Mike, when I first actually met up with Mike, maybe almost 2 years ago, early 2018, I would just randomly in Torrance to watch like a boxing event, and I hit him up, and he responded like a nice guy and said, "Oh, let's meet up at this park." So even when I was working with him, even he was like, "No, try to slow it down a little bit and go a little calmer." And from that, I was knocking down tricks a lot easier with more energy to spare when I landed too. So for the next trick. Yeah. So if I learned that much earlier, it would have been more helpful in terms of me even like putting together like multiple sequences without burning out after like the second or third jump, and really just kind of picking things up faster. I think if you go with that mindset of it's something that you and even Eddie said to me is just jump up and do the trick. It sounds simple, but then it's kind of true. Just jump and do the trick. Don't have to force the overs. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Nate, do you remember him trying to do double dutch in San Diego at our meetup? How high he was jumping, because he was jumping as high as he needs to for a quad because he's never double dutched before.
Can't help
it. Was so funny. Like he couldn't just do a regular single type of bounce. He had to jump up 3 feet in the air, like his life depended
Kyle,
on
you're
it.
very much, I think, and Mel, you're on this tangent too. It's very much like, as soon as I begin, I am going right to 100%. There is no middle ground. We are just going all out.
Yes, they do.
Full send.
Yeah, pretty rough.
And so we've developed a term amongst us called the notches. which we played around with naming ourselves because, Kyle is that top notch. And then you have D at the bottom notch because she's not busting out these triples. And then Mel's in between us to getting towards that top notch too. And so I'm just like, you need to take it down a notch, dial it down a notch. And so we balance each other out in the sense that like we've got all the notches here covered between the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that kind of stems too. When I was in high school, I was a sprinter and a long jumper and a triple jumper.
Okay,
And,
to be honest with you, I'm like completely not surprised at all. Like if you would have asked me to guess, that's exactly what I would have guessed.
Even at like I'm a short dude, like 5'6". I mean, but that's what I did. I was a sprinter, long jumper, triple jumper, and even when I graduated high school, every workout I did involved jumping on heavy plyometrics. I was never good at distance, marathon running, endurance. I was never an efficient runner. I mean, if I'm going to run, I'm running full speed, no matter what. 0 to 100.
0 to 100, just like that. That's funny. So, D, you were saying about what you've learned?
What I've learned, and this is from what I've experienced and the not pleasant times, is the one, jumping surface that you're on, and two, not overdoing it, because you won't know you've overdone it until it's way too late.
Mm-hmm.
You'll feel fine. You'll feel fine jumping on the concrete. I was gallivanting through Europe on jumping on the cobblestones and everything in my flip-flops, and I came back from 3 weeks in Europe and had to stop jumping for a month entirely because I have never felt the heel pain. Like I thought I permanently damaged my heels. In CrossFit, I've never felt heel pain in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came back from that trip and I had to practice my mic for a month. That's what I was doing for a whole month. I was just practicing the mic because I physically couldn't, just regular walking and even not walking was this excruciating heel pain that I still don't understand to this day. And I'm kind of dealing with it right now, haven't jumped for 2.5 weeks, and that came from jumping on concrete. And then 2 days of jumping on concrete and then meeting up with Kyle on the third day to practice like backwards AS double unders. So what I'm saying is like these high impact things. So one, not jumping
backwards
on the
AS
proper...
double under, whatever. That's
chill. I never got it. So I'm just saying like the impact on the third day, even though we were on a track after the 2 days of jumping on concrete, after that, like it was just, so I haven't jumped in 2.5 weeks. So that's my biggest thing. And I know it feels so easy. We feel fine. We feel young. We feel doable. We don't feel any pain. And so we're just jumping on concrete. And then maybe a week later, a few days later, it's past the point of no return. And you need to like quit jumping and rest for days, if not weeks.
Totally agree. Yeah.
And that comes from the overdoing it too, plus the bad surface. So those are the two biggest things. Is I definitely don't try to preach this to anyone, but if they come to me like, oh, this is hurting, this is hurting, well, what surface are you jumping on? You can't, you don't want to mess around with that. You want this. We all want to be doing this decades from now. So that whole resting thing I know is hard for so many of us, but we have to look at it as taking one step back so we can take those 5 steps forwards. Because if you don't let yourself rest and recover, you could do some permanent damage.
Not me. I never overdo it.
Never. Nope.
Yeah, long distance running shoes and wood floor surface is like the holy grail. But I think even if you've got a decent mat underneath you on concrete, you'll still be pretty good. I think at the most conservative, if you use like a standing desk mat that people use to stand on like all day, you'll definitely lose a little bit of stability because there's a lot of cushion, but there's a lot of cushion that will save against that for sure. Guys, this is super fun. Oh my gosh, I kind of want to move towards wrapping this up with the main question of the podcast.
Oh, you said wrap. Oh, I'm just thinking of jump rope wraps now.
Yeah, so if we could go ahead and just do a basic wrap to a cross into a Kruger wrap.
Throw a TS in there. Throw a TS in there.
You know, I'm so happy that TSs are a fun skill for you. For me, they are not.
It was the first one I tried to learn, and I couldn't comprehend how anyone kept the rope moving around their body after the first one went with momentum. I couldn't comprehend that. That was the first thing I saw, and I'm like, I have to do this.
Wait, the TS was the first jump rope skill that you were exposed to?
I saw a gal from Israel busting these out, a few of them, like it was nothing. And it was through like Buddy Lee site that I saw that. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, my arms are behind my back. I don't know. I'm so fascinated with like backward stuff and like difficult stuff like that. But I'm like, I need to get this down. And I didn't get it down for many, 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 many months. But
I was going to say, that is a hard skill to learn immediately.
It was frustrating. This jump rope is very humbling.
She could do it in her sleep now. That's her thing.
Only if my rope is long enough and I have long handles.
Fair enough. So I'm curious for you guys then, what I ask every guest is, what is jump rope to you? And we've touched on a couple of different elements of this throughout our conversation, but I'm curious what your answers are.
No, that's an interesting one. I think for me personally, at this particular moment in my journey of jump rope right now, I think jump rope to me is visualizing success. I think right now, whenever I do attempt some new move or a sequence, what I've learned is to actually visualize it and actually say things out loud now for me to actually execute those moves. And I really feel that's kind of what jump rope means to me, is visualizing and executing. And then just enjoying that process of every single time that you learn something, you kind of go through that whole thing and then you start over again. And I think that's why I enjoy it so much, is because there's always something new to learn the next day. And I think Dee's I think you could attest to that, especially when we always work on one move every single day that we meet up together, and we kind of go through the same process.
For me, what jump rope is for me, it's the answer applies to, I guess, how I want to show up in the world, how I want to show up every day in my life. Jump rope is a way for me to express and experience what wants to flow through me. So it all comes back to me to alignment. Like, is this in alignment with what feels true for me? I'm all about living one's truth. So like I said, that is the expression at this point in my life. I don't see it going away, so it'll probably keep on going for decades to come, but it is a way for me to express and experience what wants to flow through me.
I really like that.
For me, it's a personal challenge. It's a challenge in which you can't blame anyone but yourself, and all your success is dependent only on yourself. Can't blame the rope, can't blame Deanna. Sometimes you can blame Mel, but mostly yourself.
Not my fault.
And even just getting better, that's all you two. You have to go out and seek how to get better. You don't just get better. I mean, at some point you're gonna feel like you're plateaued, and then you have to go out and figure out how to get over that. And if you don't get it right, I mean, you got to keep going until you get it right. If you don't get it right, it's not the road's fault. That's you.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's that personal challenge that I think I enjoyed the most about it.
Nice. You guys, this has been seriously fun. I'm really glad that we did this, because after I had talked with John Joe, I was like, okay, well, I got to get the SF crew on the podcast, and I wasn't sure how to I wanted to speak to each of you, but I didn't know if I wanted to do it one-on-one, but then I was like, wait a minute, group podcast. And this has worked very well in my opinion. So I'm really, really pumped with that. All right, well, I will let you guys get back to your night. Thank you again, seriously, for being on the podcast. This was a really, really fun episode.
Thank you for inviting us. Yeah, and thank you for being a great host, Nate.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got a good late night radio voice going on.
Thanks, man. Hey, before you go, I just wanted to say one last thing. One of my main goals for this podcast is to share the stories, of other jumpers and provide a full picture about everything that's possible with the jump rope. The more people that hear this, the better. And it would really help me out if you sent this podcast to somebody you know, whether in real life or digitally on Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform you use. It would mean the world to me. So that's it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, lunch, evening, whatever time it is for you right now. See you later.